What's going on, and welcome back to the Scoped Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Heaton. I'm a radio host for 97.1 The River, Atlanta's classic hits, and I've hosted the Scoped Podcast since 2017. I have the privilege to be called Atlanta's Rock Ambassador because when I was on Rock 100.5, I wanted to separate myself from a lot of the radio hosts here in Atlanta, great bands here in the city that were gigging every other night, sometimes every night, just putting on amazing shows. And I'm like, why is no one covering this? Why is it not getting any coverage from radio? And that is how I became Atlanta's Rock Ambassador, going around emceeing concerts every other night, hanging out with bands, becoming friends, not just radio host and band, but friends helping each other out. We had homebrew when I was on Rock 100.5, and that was one of the biggest wins the Atlanta rock scene has ever had. Sorry, my wife and my beautiful daughter just walked in, Tatum. So glad she's here. So we had homebrew, and it was where I played a local band's best song every night of the week at 8:30. What a win for the scene, getting daytime radio play on a top 10 market every single night. The feedback was huge. It was crazy. And then, like a lot of things, good things come to an end. Rock 100.5 was no more. Now I'm at the river, rocking it over there. I absolutely love it. But the podcast stayed the same. No, I didn't have homebrew anymore, but I still had this podcast, and I was still Atlanta's Rock Ambassador. And now we're here at the new sponsors of the podcast, Freedom Brew and Shine, here in Cumming, Georgia. This place is so much fun. You got axe throwing. You got amazing beer. They have delicious food trucks all the time. They got a kid zone. You got a kid zone. You can grab a beer, take your little ones up there, let them run around. There's an arcade, a gun range. It's awesome. It's just so much fun up here at Freedom Brew and Shine. And massive thank you to them for being the new sponsors of the Scoped Podcast and having us here and letting us drink some beer and have some fun. And thank you to Brandon Barker, my new videographer, who is just doing an incredible, amazing job here on the podcast. So happy to have him on. He's going to come up here later and play us some acoustic tunes. He may be singing. He's going to be playing. TJ from the Howling Tongues, which is unfortunately not a band anymore, but they were absolutely phenomenal in the pre-COVID days of the Atlanta rock scene. He's probably going to come up here and join us. But to start it off, I have a message. I want to talk directly to the Atlanta rock scene, so we're going to get into that. Episode 111? 111, wow, of a Scoped Podcast featuring me, Brandon Barker, and TJ from the Howling Tongues starts now. Step into my world. I'm psyched. Let's go.
Now you're turning into the Scoped Podcast.
Every time. I love that. But you know what? A surprise. A little surprise to start off episode 111 of the Scoped Podcast. The Buzzards of Fuzz recorded that song for me in the early days of the podcast, and it has been a staple of this podcast. And I love it, but I got a new sponsor. It's now a YouTube show, and I will always love the Buzzards of Fuzz very much. Van, Ben, all those guys in that band are friends of mine. Brandon Barker of Rails to Rose is going to be recording the new theme song of the Scoped Podcast, and I cannot wait to hear his version of what his spin on what the theme song to the Scoped Podcast should be. Brandon, is that not the cutest little girl you've ever seen in your life? Ah, man, I can't stop looking at you, Tatum. You're so beautiful. Baby, you know you're always beautiful. Once again, I am Jackson Heaton. I am the host of the Scoped Podcast. I am a radio host for 97.1 The River. And I am Atlanta's Rock Ambassador, a title that I am very happy and very privileged to have. I mean, I'm not the only one. You think of Carl O'Ligny. He is also Atlanta's Rock Ambassador. And then you had Wes Everett, formerly of the Mosh Pit Podcast. He's also an Atlanta's Rock Ambassador. So there are a lot of people that really support this scene and give these bands the support and that they need, and the sharing them on social media, plugging their stuff. So it's great. It's great. But there's been a change. There's been a change in the Atlanta rock scene, at least from what I've seen. Again, I don't get out to as many shows. I've got a 3 and a 1-year-old. I live all the way out in Cumming. I'm not driving down to Smith's Old Bar or Star Bar every other night. I'm just going off things I've heard. So I saw an article the other day. I unfortunately didn't read too much into it, but it said, "Is rock coming back?" And I wish I had read it. I'm going to read it after this, most likely. But I think the answer is yes. At least it can. It should. It definitely should come back. I mean, you have so many albums in mainstream rock and metal right now that are being released that you wouldn't hear about unless it's Metallica or AC/DC, one of those bands that, are the almighty. I mean, the Rolling Stones are coming out with a new album. Led Zeppelin's coming out with an album at the end of the year. After over 40 years of not putting out an album, now they're like, yeah, why not? It's not going to be all new music. They're being very secretive about it. Some of it's going to be old stuff. Some of it's going to be new stuff. There might be some exhibition stuff on it. So we'll wait and see. But great albums being put out right now from bands that have been around a while, new bands. You would never know about it unless you're reading the Loudwire or the Blabbermouth or the Ultimate Guitar. Looking for it, you're not going to hear about it. And it's so unfortunate because it's great music. But the sad thing is, music doesn't influence culture anymore like it used to. Think the 90s, the grunge era. That was a cultural influence. That was Nirvana shaped lives. The 80s, hair metal. Everybody wanted the long hair. Everybody wanted to look like Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. That was the thing. In the 70s, it was all about rebellion. The 90s was about rebellion. I always say rebellious rock died in 94 when Kurt Cobain died. That's when it was no longer cool to be a rebellious rock band. And then you have the late 90s with the punk. And, early 2000s punk wasn't rebellious. It was just fun. It wasn't like, the late 60s punk era where that was rebellion. That was rebellious against politics, against war, and all that. But your early 2000s, late 90s punk, that was just fun. And then you had 3 Days Grace. You had Disturbed. You had Godsmack come in. And it was just badass rock. It didn't influence a culture. You didn't want to be David Draymond. You didn't want to be Sully Erna. You didn't have posters of them all the time in your room like you did the Kurt Cobains or the 80s hair metal band or the 70s, Zeppelin. Zeppelin was in every bedroom. But you don't have that anymore. Music doesn't influence culture like it used to. Or at least rock doesn't. Which is a shame, but that's the world we live in now. Now you get the Sabrina Carpenters and the pop stars. That's the popular stuff. That's what's influencing culture in a negative way. I mean, say what you will. I don't agree with the Cardi B's and the, Megan Thee Stallion or whatever her name is. I think that's giving a bad message to young girls listening to that. But that's my take. I'm up here alone. I can say whatever I want. This is my podcast, so don't edit that out. We'll keep that in there. So the thing is that if rock is going to make a comeback on any level, whether it be mainstream, whether it be on the local level, you have to go back to old school ways of marketing of a band. Like social media, every band's like, oh yeah, we're on the social media. We're putting out videos of our practices. We're doing this. Well, the algorithm, not as many people are seeing your stuff as you think they are. So I think the Atlanta rock scene needs to get back to old school guerrilla style marketing, which is paying someone to go hand out flyers or doing it yourself. Go to Little 5 Points, hand out flyers for your concerts, just to anybody walking around. Most people probably going to throw it in the trash. Some people are going to look at it and be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And then some people will be like, oh, great, a band's playing Friday night. They had no idea you were playing because they don't follow you on social media. They even if they do, they may not have seen your stuff. So hire someone or do it yourself. Go hand out flyers. Put your sticker at every place you go to. Will they take it down? Sometimes yes. Sometimes they'll leave it up. But you just got to be out there just old school style marketing. I always say you can get digital billboards for actually pretty cheap. So if you got 3-4 bands on a bill, why don't you all buy a billboard for a couple weeks? I don't know how long billboards or how long you have to buy them for. Well, buy a billboard. Then we've got to do something to get it in people's faces. Not people on social media that, somebody that lives in West Virginia, they're like, maybe they'll come down to my show and all the way from West Virginia. No. You want people that are here in the city to know that you're playing a show. Not somebody in Florida, not somebody in Alabama that you're friends with. You want people in Atlanta to know you're playing a show. So social media really doesn't do anything for you unless you've already gotten a following. It's really hard in the algorithm today to build up a following if you have not done it already. A lot of bands are great at social media, and they have the following. They have the people that come to all their shows. Yeah, if you're not one of them, you have to work a little harder, and you have to get out there and market yourself face-to-face, the old school way. And stop trying to be so rebellious all the time. There are so many people that want to be the Axl Rose, want to have the attitude that the 80s hair metal had or that Kurt Cobain had with Nirvana. That's not helping you these days. It's a different world. It's a different climate of rock. So instead of sex, drugs, rock and roll, what it used to be, that was cool in the 60s. That was cool in the 70s. That was cool in the 80s. It was rebellious in the 90s. They're like, man. And they started a whole movement from it, but that is not the world today. So instead of sex, drugs, rock and roll, it needs to be rock and roll only. That is how you're going to get put back on the map in the Atlanta area, is by focusing on the music, writing songs that have depth, being a humble, nice person. Yeah, you can have your stage persona. That's great, but don't be overly cocky about it. Don't be overly like, everyone here, I don't care if you like the music or not. Yeah, you do. And finally, stop being so political. That's going to upset some people, probably. That's going to upset some people. And I get it. You're on Facebook, you're like, Trump, Biden, Kamala Harris, whatever. No one really wants to see it. And if you're going to do it on a personal page. Do it on, if there's something that's really strong, you think strongly about, okay. But don't just write bashing stuff every day, all day, and put it out there. Because one, it's taking the eyes off your music. It can be making you look bad to certain people. And if you're like, well, I don't want their support anyway. If they like Trump or if they like Biden, then I don't want them coming to my show. Well, if it's going to cost you $100, then yeah, you probably should care. So just stop being so political. Stop putting every thought that you have on your band's page and put the music. That's what it should be about. It should be about the music right now because you think bands had an uphill battle before COVID, and it was pretty thriving. TJ is going to come on, and we're going to talk about how thriving the Atlanta rock scene was pre-COVID compared to now. So the uphill battle you have as a local band, get out and tour. Fury and Few, the two-piece from here in Atlanta, they've been on the podcast before, great friends of mine. They tour relentlessly. They travel in a small van, and they both have like Enos in the van that they sleep in, and they tour. They play. They get in front of people. I understand if you can't afford to do that, but get some shows outside of your normal range. Even if it's still here in Georgia, go down to Savannah, play. Go down to wherever and just play. Go to Macon. Macon has a great downtown area. They love hearing music there. So you have to get yourself in front of people again. Not just social media and not, posting videos on there. Get out in front of people. If someone comes to one of your shows and they walk in, check out a song, have someone standing there that gives them a free sticker. Has them, say, hey, we got a sale on our shirts. Would you, pay this much for a shirt? Whatever. Give them something. That way they have something to remember you for once they leave, even if they're only there for one song. Make sure that they know that they're appreciated for being there. So we got to go back to the old school way. We have to go back. It has to be about rock and roll, and it cannot be about anything else right now. That is how we once win. That's how we win again. If you want to be a big band and get signed, then definitely do this. If you're just a band that wants to gig around on the weekends, that's cool too. But don't you want to be a band that just gigs around on the weekend that has a lot of people coming to their show? You know, even if you're not trying to make it per se, that's cool. But don't you want as many people as possible coming to see you, even if you just play for fun on the weekends? So we got to go back to old school marketing ways. That is the way we are going to thrive again, is getting ourselves out there in front of people, face to face, that live right here in the city or live around the city. Go to, I can talk about it all day. I had a bunch more lined up to talk about, but I feel like I'm talking this one into the ground. But I'm very passionate about it because the bands here are great. We just got to cut down on the, fuck you, man kind of attitude and just get back to playing music. That's what it was, and that's what it should be again. Oh, man. And it's hard. It's hard not being able to go to as many shows lately because I know there are a lot of bands that do it right and that still care, but I think for the majority, we need to come together again. So many bands in this city are, I'm the band here, you're the band there, I don't want to help you because I don't want you to get ahead of me. That's not how it should be. That's not how it was. That's not how it was pre-COVID. You talk about bands like the Howling Tongues and Greco and Buzzards of Fuzz and all them. They supported each other. They promoted each other's shows on their own page. They'd be like, hey, Howling Tongues are playing tomorrow night. Go check them out. They're buddies of ours. We'll be there too. And then they cross-promote. I don't see that anymore. I do not see that, and that is what's hurt. That's one of the many things that's hurting you, is not being a collective group once again. So I want the scene to thrive. I want it to get back to people going out and seeing shows. We just got to put in a little work right now, and we got to stop focusing on the party aspect of it and the fun of what rock and roll can be, which it is fun. So if you're playing a show, and this is the final thing I'll say about it, if you're playing a show and you want to party afterwards, party afterwards. You want to drink, do whatever, do it afterwards. I mean, you can have a couple beers before you play, sure, why not? But don't go up there and play a thrashed show. Play your best show, and you're like, Jackson, when I play drunk, it's the best show ever. Well, obviously not, because you probably had 15 people max in the audience, and you're still playing in Atlanta. So obviously it wasn't your best show like you thought it was. So let's just get back. Let's get back to what made this great in the first place. That's all on that one. Understand, take it for what it is and the uphill battle that it is, and let's just get to work. Let's get to work. All right. So we were here last night, and I hate that we didn't get this videoed. That was my bad, not setting that up beforehand. But Fukushima Tuna, one of my OGs, Atlanta's premier acid lounge cocktail band, played last night here at Freedom Brew and Shine in the tap room. And these guys are probably going to be playing here pretty regularly because everybody loved them. I mean, they're phenomenal. They're fun, energetic, and they put on a great show. It's kind of tough when you're the only one talking up here. You kind of get winded. But I'm doing good breathing. And my daughter is walking. Tatum, you want to come up here, baby? You want to come up here? You want to come sit with Daddy? She's like, nah, dude, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay here. All right, next up, we're gonna play a Rails to Road song, and when we get back, TJ from the Howling Tongues is gonna come sit down with me, have a little conversation. Brandon, what song you want to play? Go in and rock this life away. All right, during the transition, you're gonna hear Rails to Roads, Rock This Life Away, right here on the Scope Podcast. Enjoy.
Say you're a savior on a mission, but there ain't no saving me. I've got with my money. My next trick's almost due. Banging all the sugar honeys. I've had my fair share of you. No better way to deal with what I feel today. No better way to rock and roll with me. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Yeah, yeah, rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Yeah, 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 yeah. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away. Rockin' all night, rockin' all day, rock this life away.
And welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that song from Rails to Roads. A great new band here in the Atlanta rock scene. How long have y'all been a band? We'll talk about it when you come up here. Sorry. Great. We're going to talk all Rails to Roads when Brandon gets up here. But one of my OGs, TJ from the Howling Tongues, which was one of Atlanta's best bands by far back in the day.
Thank you.
Pre-COVID. I miss the Howling Tongues.
That's mighty nice of you. I'm happy to be here, man.
Dude, it was the Howling Tongues were always so fun. You guys and Greco, and there were a couple others. That was kind of the top of the heap at the time, Atlanta bands, and all y'all were friends.
Yeah, we were friends with quite a few of the bands running around Atlanta for a while, and it was always cool. You know, occasionally you'd even run into some of those guys out of town, and you'd be like, I didn't even know you guys, you know. And so it was as much as you can be sort of friends and friendly competitors and people who are like trying to figure out what it looks like to do the thing, it was always nice to run into friendly faces and, you know, catch up and how's everything going and got any cool shows coming up. So yeah, there was definitely a fun time for the scene in Atlanta, but it was not quite as fun as listening to you preach to these new crop of kids about how to do it right. I was sitting out there just hanging out and was just like swelling with pride. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's something that needs to be said. It's things people need to hear because it's a different atmosphere than it was in 2017, 2018.
Sure. Yeah.
It's such a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I mean, y'all would go to other band shows all the time here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it out like we were selfless. Oh, that was my phone. Who cares? I don't want to make it out like we were selfless saints who were going to every show, but occasionally it was definitely nice to get out and go to one of our favorite venues and just whoever happened to be playing and just catch a show and not have to work and not have to schmooze and sell merch and do the whole thing.
Not
and
have
just
to load in, load out,
and load
just go
out,
to a
yeah.
show, have some drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
And watch.
Just be in the way on Smith's old bar's old stairs.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, sorry, were you guys trying to load out? That was always fun. Yeah, being in the way. That was our thing. But yeah, we tried to go to some shows, and definitely if there was one of the bands that we knew had an opportunity to open for another band that we had heard of or liked or whatever, it was always like, hey, nice, cool to see hometown represent a little bit.
It was like you said it perfectly, a friendly competition.
Sure.
Like, you wanted to outdo your buddies
Right.
in other bands. You wanted to bring more people in. You wanted to have a better show. But it was all in the sake of friendly competition.
Sure, yeah.
Everybody wanted everybody to succeed because we all knew if one band makes it, that opens the floodgates.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more vibrant the scene, the more that 4 or 5 venues could get a reputation for consistently putting on fun shows and cool shows, and the more bands that were around town that were doing a good job of putting on a good show and taking some real care in writing and performing songs. It was, I mean, it's kind of the simplest part of what it's all about, and the rising tide floats all boats. The more, the merrier. All those fun cliches for sure.
Oh, I remember you were telling me one time one of Howling Tongues' last shows, may have been their last show, was the Bon Jovi one.
I think it was our second to last show. I think we did one more hurrah at the Earl, and I may have to check because as much as you were preaching about don't do shows blasted, I had a couple, and the old gray matter's not as sharp as it once was, but I'm pretty sure the Bon Jovi show was the second to last show.
Which was awesome. I introed y'all
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
And I remember getting backstage when I got there, and it was just like we had that moment like that y'all were having, and I was going to be, emceeing at Phillips Arena.
Yep.
And we were just like, dude, this is cool. This is cool. This is what it's about.
Totally surreal. Yeah, it was an insane thing to be like, well, there's a radio contest, and we've got as good a shot as anybody to grab some votes and pester our friends and family and our manager and his team, and just constant and daily like, hey, come on, guys, put our names on the thing. And, you go from like, yeah, why not, to, oh, we're here. And we're talking about Bon Jovi, and we're like Phil X, who, if you're a big music nerd, demoed Gear, got famous on YouTube for demoing Gear because he was really into it. He would be like, yeah, singing along while playing guitar pedals and stuff. And he was like the coolest guy ever. He was like, man, are those your drums? And I was like, yeah, those are my drums. He's like, man, are those the bottom sizes? I was like, yeah, those are the bottom sizes. I haven't seen drums like that in years. I was like, well, yeah. And then I looked over halfway through our set, and he's coming up through the stairs, and he's just like, I was like, dude, Phil X is the man. So shout out to Phil X. But yeah, the whole process, and you getting to hang out with us. So we had another friendly face, and like, not be so weird where it's just people in headsets and and you emceed the hell out of it, and it was a super surreal experience for sure.
Such a different experience, the way the backstage, and it's so much more formal.
For sure.
It's not Smith's old bar, and so that, you got to be so much more professional. You got to be so much more buttoned up. It's like, all right, I mean, in a sense,
for sure.
They're like, all right, you're going on. I remember when I was introing you guys, they're like, all right, you need to fill 2 minutes on stage. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, 2 minutes on stage by yourself feels like 2 hours.
Sure.
And I walk out. I remember they're like, all right, here you go. Here's your mic. And I'm like, that's it? No pep talk?
Give them hell? I don't know. Yeah.
Break a leg.
Yeah.
And so I get up there, and the stage was in the round, and I remember it was like sold out or something like that, or close to it.
It was definitely pretty close, if not sold out.
I mean, it was packed.
Yeah.
And I do like a full circle, and I'm like, shit, that's a lot of people.
Right.
I've got to get all these people psyched up.
Some of them, by the way, like we're doing 20 minutes at the top, so there's probably like 11,000 people sitting down when you got on stage, and then over the course of your thing and our thing, everybody else is like handfuls of pretzels and beers and trying to figure out where their seat is and like falling over other people whose seat is before their seat or whatever. And so it's like you're not only trying to get the people hyped up who are sitting already and settled in and paying attention, but you're trying to like let all these people that are like, what's going on? like get them fired up for the show. But yeah, I thought you did a great job.
I should have just said one thing, the thing that got the most applause. I should have just gone up there and be like, y'all ready for Bon Jovi? And I mean, it was so loud. It was
Too bad. Not yet. To pull the rug on 14,000 people would be hilarious.
just psych a band you've never heard of.
Well, first, these boys are going to try their best. Yeah.
I mean, it was so loud, though, it was deafening. When I said,
Yeah.
because I ended it with that. I was like, all right. I don't remember how I said it, but it was so loud, it was deafening. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe I could hear anything when people were, when the whole place was rocking, and it was like, especially probably towards the end of our last song, they could feel it. Bon Jovi's coming soon, dude. These guys got to be wrapping it up, so they start cheering a little bit louder. And I was like, I couldn't believe we could get enough volume to come out of the stage monitor for me to be able to hear the guitar. I was like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. And then it actually was awesome. The mix sounded great, and that whoever the production staff was that day, shout out to them. I hope they're doing well.
The loudest applause y'all got was when this is our last song before Bon Jovi, and people were like, yeah, let's go.
Oh my God, we can tolerate at least one more song, I guess. Yeah.
No, y'all killed it, man. I was just so proud. I remember being there in the audience, and I'm like, this is one of my bands. Like, this is one of my bands I support. They're doing it. They got themselves in front of a huge crowd, and I mean, I think y'all should have banked on that a little more.
Sure.
Instead,
we treated it as a perfect death rattle. It was the marker of the end, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's worse ways to go out too, though.
Oh yeah, playing that show is one of your last shows. That's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where to go from there. I think a lot of us were sort of drifting and getting into different parts of life and stuff. And so it would have been great to try to figure out what it looks like to capitalize on that exposure and that sort of like, hell, the sizzle reel, I guess you might call it alone, the EPK getting a boost would have been pretty great. But yeah, it was, I think it was like 4 months later and something like that. Because what was that? That was summer of 19? Is that right? Summer of 18?
18.
Summer of 18. Yeah, so I think December of 18. I think that's when we stopped. I think that was the last Earl show. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously everything being perfect world, it's like, yeah, guys who are still committed to the thing and doing the thing and like looking for the next step, I think we would have figured out some sort of creative way to capitalize on that, but, can't
it's
go
an
back
opportunity that a lot of bands will never get.
For sure.
I mean, but I don't think you're done in music.
Me?
Yeah. I know you got the comedy thing going on right now.
Sure.
How'd you get into the comedy?
I think I probably secretly, and for some of my friends not so secretly, always wanted to do stand-up comedy, wanted to try it, and like all of the things that you would see as negative coming from a band going into comedy, which is like it's just you. You don't. If you're kind of having a rough night, you can't lean into your bass player. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, well, turn the guitar up a little bit in front of house. Like, they might need to cover me. I'm stiff, and I'm, if I'm playing drums, and it's a
Does
stiff
that kind
night.
of stuff go on a lot?
Not like consciously, but you and usually not by the time showtime gets going. But there's always, especially singers, are always in bad moods, and so you may always have to pick the front man up or front lady or whatever. But I think there's just a comfort knowing that if that were to happen, if I have one too many beers, if I whatever, I can always get a little pep talk mid-show from bass, guitar, keys, whoever, and they'll be like, and give me the lock-in speech, and you could do that. So obviously the scary part about transitioning to stand-up is it is just you, but at the same time, that's all you can control is you anyway. So it's kind of like, well, I don't have those guys to fall back on, but I also don't have to worry about those guys bailing or whatever.
Quiet down over there.
This crowd's getting rowdy, dude. They're getting restless.
I'll kick you out.
Security. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I always wanted to try it, and I think I was just afraid that I would be bad at it. And I think once you get over the fact that you have to be bad at it for like a really long time, excuse me, it's fine. It's a blast, especially when it works.
Stand-up comedy is one of those things it's never going to be a perfect show, rarely, or you're going to have the jokes where you get no laughs. Like,
sure.
I tried stand-up comedy for a little bit. I would do the open mic nights at Laughing Skull.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and it was fun. It was just a different avenue. But I've noticed I'm funniest when I'm not trying to be funny.
Right, sort of bouncing off and doing the thing. Yeah, it's a weird thing, just monologuing, but trying to have like zero fat, where you're almost every line you would hope is funny by the time you get it whittled down into some sort of act. But there are a lot of and I would imagine there's a lot of broadcasting things like that you automatically were more comfortable than most people who get on stage for the first time and here's the mic and you're like, well, I did it at Phillips when it was Phillips. Yeah, I can talk. It's just going to be a bummer if nobody laughs. But, yeah, and I've made a fool of myself on stage before doing music for so long. It's like, I've dropped a stick. I've seen a crash cymbal fall over. It looked like it was in slow motion. Just, no. And I just hope it lands on the beat. And occasionally it does, which is pretty magic. But, yeah, I mean, there's definitely something fun about walking the tightrope with no big ass balance pole. You're just like, well, I don't know. Here's my crazy ideas. Hope you guys like them.
So where do you do comedy at?
Here, I've done it here at the Freedom Brew and Shine a lot. I've been fortunate enough to do a couple of shows at Helium Comedy Club down in Alpharetta. I've done the Laughing Skull once for their open mic, which is like a pre-sign up, as you know. I've done it all over the metro Atlanta area so far, but I mean, there's still a lot of places that I haven't worked, and I've done Athens a little bit, and so, but there's an open mic every Thursday here, and so I work most Thursdays, but they're cool enough, like as long as you go on your break, and I usually joke around about how none of these thoughts or ideas reflect Freedom Brew and Shine at all.
Because he works here also.
Yeah. The brewmeister.
The brewman. The brewman. What's harder? How long did y'all play at Bon Jovi? Like 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. All right. What was harder? That 20 minutes in front of that kind of crowd or any stand-up show you do comedy-wise? What's harder, to play drums in front of 11,000 people or to purposely try to make people laugh?
I would say, I don't know, it's weird because it felt like the Bon Jovi thing, the 20 minutes in front of that many people, at least I had that had culminated over playing drums since I was 9, and not taking it very seriously for probably the first 10 years. But once we started going hot and heavy with the tongues, it's like, well, by that point we had played a lot of these songs for, 7 years, some of them. And, so it was a mixture of some stuff that was probably only a few years old or a couple years old, and some stuff that was a lot. So it was insane looking out and going, oh, but as long as you could gather, take a deep breath, and just count into that first song. I think I remember we just chose our fastest song for the first song too, and I was like, man, we could have warmed up with something that wasn't so fast, but we were trying to make an impression, and it was fun. So, yeah, I don't know, because once you get into gear, it sort of feels a little bit second nature with drums, where I'm still pretty fresh in comedy. So it's like there'll be nights that go really well, and I can't really explain why. I can look at the tape and I can do this stuff, but it's not second nature yet. And there'll be nights that go terribly, and I'm like, I said all the stuff that's people laughed at last time, and nobody liked any of it. And was it because I said it bad, or was it because they didn't like it?
Or they just have a bad day and they're like,
Right.
fuck this guy.
Yeah. Or there's sometimes where there's, you get lucky and there's 100 people in the crowd and the laugh sort of is contagious and they go, ha, 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 ha. It's the same way at a concert. If there's more people there and the people in the front row are having a good time, it kind of goes in a wave where it gives everybody behind them and everybody behind them a permission to, like, let loose or dance or headbang or whatever their thing is. So, you run into nights where the same way we ran into nights on the road where there's the bar staff and 2 other people, and those 2 other people have been at the bar since noon and are pretty deep in the seat, and you'll get that in comedy too, and then you're like, who am I trying to make laugh? Who cares at all? Who's paying attention? And every once in a while, one of the best things in the world on the road is when you run into those nights music-wise and somebody's like, man, I wish there was, some staff is like, I wish there was more people here, man. You guys were great. And you're like, thanks, man. I needed that because I was about to start taking shots and I don't need to do that. But yeah, it's there's definitely weird things that you find in common that you wouldn't think. And then there's plenty of stuff that you're like, oh, this is way different. Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite comedians? Because I think the 2 best in comedy are Bill Burr and Nate Bargatze.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, and those 2 guys are sort of 2 opposite ends of the process spectrum. And obviously Bill Burr being totally fine, fully dirty, and Nate Bargatze fully clean. But Nate Bargatze is like a technician, joke writing, zero fat, and Bill Burr like writes on stage famously. I like those guys are fantastic. I've got the Nate Bargatze book that somebody gave me for my birthday. I haven't started it yet.
But the way he's so relatable. He's a very relatable comedian.
Right.
And the way how funny he is without saying a single cuss word, I just admire so much.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do because every once in a while you'll get backed into a corner. I will, and I'll just let whatever the
Tourette's come out.
I'll just let whatever the craziest Tourette's I can conjure happen, and every once in a while I'll get you out of a little corner. Yeah, I've got a lot. I mean, and it kind of goes, but I think Patrice O'Neal's probably one of the best to ever do it.
Who?
Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Doug Stanhope, and I was fortunate enough to do a little guest spot on his show when he was in town, which was crazy. I got surprise pulled at Helium. I was just going to watch the show, and then he was like, we do this in every town. And I was like, oh, no, okay. Did a couple minutes, so that was fun.
Wow.
He rules. There's so many right now. I mean, there's so many working comics that are hilarious and selling tons of tickets. And Shane Gillis is huge right now, which is crazy because he's just a conversational guy. It feels like you're talking to a guy at a party. He just happens to be one of the funniest guys on the planet right now.
His ESPYs monologue was hilarious.
What's that? The ESPYs? Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I keep seeing all the clips, so I need to watch it.
I saw I can't remember who the quote was from. I can't remember which comedian, but people take comedy way too serious these days. It's just everyone gets so offended at jokes. Like they were up in arms about his Caitlin Clark thing.
Right.
And it's just a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, comedy is one of the few pure art forms that we just get entertainment from and a laugh.
Sure.
And once we start, I don't watch SNL anymore.
Sure.
For the most part, just because it's not that funny.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you can.
It's too political and not funny.
Right. It's bad when you can see somebody, like you can see the whole show of SNL trying to slalom with the skis through the slaloms. Whereas, like, I think it's good. The same way I think, like, the state of music now, pop music now, is a great opposing force to what people should be trying to make if they really like music. I think people getting offended, unfortunately, has been really great for comedy because it not only does it create more thoughtful comedians who are even more skilled at getting around or brushing up against or doing whatever, but there's something weird about making stuff and creating stuff that if you want to make something that resonates with you in 10 years or resonates with other people, it seems like there has to be this opposing force. It seems like all of life, rock and roll, is push and pull. There's no rock music is fine, straight eights, everybody's together playing straight music. But rock and roll famously has been explained by a bunch of like old hats that it's, it's somebody's doing straight eight, somebody's doing dotted eight, and you get the swing and you get the straight. And it's like, so you need, just the way you need Nate Bargatze and Bill Burr to exist in the same world to keep it really fun and varying all the time and spicy. I think there is something weird about having this opposing force of the Sabrina Carpenters or the stale era that we're in SNL history. And occasionally, obviously, Shane has hosted or somebody fun will host or there'll be a cool musical guest and I'll peek at it and, hey, that sketch wasn't bad, nothing wrong with it. But it also, I don't know, SNL to me is for 14-year-olds who like fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure that it is for guys in their mid-30s who have seen a bunch of the world and had a bunch of conversations with weirdos and like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, here's another sketch about how Marjorie Taylor Greene is weird. Like, yeah, we get that. Yeah. She's a weird lady. Yeah, but
Brandon just held up a sign that said, "This guy sucks."
Dang it. I was really trying so hard to bring my best stuff, dude.
Oh.
Zing. That's not what it said, dude. You liar. Is this what he does to you guys? He lies to you on air all the time? That's what he's doing?
Wow, 45 already? Man.
This is easy, dude.
This is easy. We haven't had... So the Howling Tongues were on the podcast. Was it once or twice?
I think it was just once, and I think we kept trying to like reschedule,
Yeah.
and I think it was all while the band was like falling apart. So I think
We did a great episode. It was just something I couldn't put out.
Yeah. we were like, we thought it'd be funny if we brought a handle. I forgot what it was. I think it was Knob Creek maybe, and not to advertise for free, but we were like, let's have a couple drinks. Because I think you had coordinated it to be, we recorded at the station, but late at night when we couldn't bother anybody or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so it's pretty late, so we stop at the liquor store, we get a bottle of whiskey, we're like, yeah, this will be fun. And then we like got in there and we all kind of winked and nodded and we were like, come on, dude, have another one. And then we would try to like keep up pace too, and it got out
It got out of control. We're smoking cigarettes on the loading dock.
Yeah, for sure. We were having fun. Can't people have fun, dude?
I know I have that episode still somewhere. It's gonna live in infamy. I have the raw recording somewhere. My gosh.
Yeah. If the feds get you, we'll release it, dude. Just as a final act of rebellion.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun back in the day. I mean, we were just kids then. We were kids.
Yeah, sure.
We had no responsibility.
We weren't supposed to be. We were like 26, 27. We were probably supposed to be adults, but we were all Peter Pan-ing a little bit, rock and roll Peter Pan.
But that was also the fun part of that time.
Fun, yeah.
Like the station was like, hey, I want to do my podcast here. We're gonna have beer, and I could to this day can't believe they said yes to it. But I'm like, they're like, as long as y'all don't break anything.
Yeah, sure. Which is a fair, yeah.
They're like, as soon as you break something, you're done. But,
yeah.
And there was a couple times where it came close. I remember I had a band come in one time. They got thrashed, and he was taking too long after he said he was going to go to the bathroom. And I see him playing a Led Zeppelin signed guitar that was hanging on the wall.
Brother.
Yeah. I remember to this day. I was like, get the
you have to go now.
I kicked them off right then.
Dude.
One guy brought his Tinder date one time.
What?
Yeah.
This is the thing, is that everybody wants to be like cool and rock and roll. I mean, you were talking about this a little bit, but it's like, hey man, if you want to be like a wild dude who plays music, one, your music better be undeniably cool.
It better be amazing.
It better be so good and deep, and like, unless you could go toe to toe with Jeff Buckley, don't be like a depraved weird artist and show up at a corporate radio station acting like a dickhead. Like, do heroin if you're gonna talk all this talk. Just do heroin and then make, really great music. But otherwise, like, there's something about putting this costume on, and we did it too. I'm not preaching. We did it plenty. There were plenty of nights where it was way more about what's going on after the show than it was about the show, which is, I mean, that's why I'm a comedian now. But
he brings. Aisha actually did
date.
photos for this band in Dahlonega back in the day, And so the singer shows up. First time I'm meeting them, he's like wearing like a leopard print shirt that was like a knockoff leopard print shirt he probably got from the thrift store.
This wasn't real leopard?
It was, unfortunately, I would have respected him if it was real leopard. If it was real leopard, I'd have been like, hell yes, you were a rock star.
You have to kill yourself, though. You can't. With a knife.
But now I saw it's faux leather. I'm like, and so he brings his Tinder date, and here's the funny thing.
I bet she was cool. Did she talk on the podcast?
Hell no. And so we go to Blue Moon afterwards to get a beer because I'm still entertaining this band for some reason.
Yeah.
He goes to the bathroom. She gives me her number, and I take her out that night.
Hilarious.
And she ended up being absolutely crazy.
Of course.
And so I was like, nope. No, we had dinner, and I dropped her off. I'm like, have a great night.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to like set hard and fast rules about not bringing
don't bring a Tinder
guests
date.
to your
You can bring your girlfriend, you can bring your wife.
Yeah, of
course.
course.
Established, but don't bring someone that.
But heads up is cool, and
it's like there's a lot of expensive stuff in the station.
She starts playing the Led Zeppelin guitar. I'm swinging,
If
dude.
you break up with her here, she's gonna break up my shit. She just,
Goes nuts and starts unplugging stuff.
like fuck yeah.
That would be fun. That would be good radio, but bad for your career, I think.
I remember one band came on and they had this bag of Jolly Ranchers, and they're like, "Jackson, you want a Jolly Rancher?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want a Jolly Rancher."
Nope.
So I ate a couple of them, and I'm like, "These are really good, but what's that weird taste?" And they're like, "Jackson, they're not just Jolly Ranchers."
Right. Allegedly.
Oh man, I was tripping.
You were melting into your...
I was driving home, the station was in Sandy Springs. I lived in Buckhead at the time.
Sure.
And I'm driving home, and I'm like, God, the sun is so bright. Like, I just got my windows down. It was like a really mellow one, right? It wasn't like...
Siri plays Cypress Hill, dude. This is awesome.
Want to be a rock superstar. I stopped at Publix and got me a box of Cocoa Puffs, and I got home, and I'm like, God, I was like...
That's so good.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Wait, what was in the Jolly Ranchers?
What?
I'm just joking. Just kidding. That's awesome.
So I want to know what your thought about what I was saying was, and then we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
What do you think about what I said about what bands should be doing? Like the old school marketing, getting out your face in front of people that are here in the city.
I think it's good. I mean, I think if I had a gun to my head and had to give people advice, I do think that put as much of the creativity as you possibly can into that. Like there clearly is a new marketing and media landscape that like is very easy for people who just want to rock to scoff at and be like, this is dumb. But you see it occasionally where things are fun and break through, and it helps people to market their band. So I think I like this idea of doing, old school guerrilla marketing. I like the idea of finding a creative way where it doesn't feel like you're selling your soul out to attack this sort of new landscape where it's like, I don't care if like I think Justin Hawkins from The Darkness has these short little things where he reviews a song. And it's like, one, you're going to suck at it in the beginning, but you'll probably get better at it. And don't do exactly what he's doing. But I'm saying, make it, if you want to make something that's music-based, if you want your band to have a podcast, if you want to do whatever, you will stink at it in the beginning, but you will hopefully find fun and easy ways to like cross over all this stuff that you actually end up liking to do. But then combining that with guerrilla marketing, combining it with coming up with ways to set the shows that you're putting together apart. I think if you're going to be the headliner and you're going to try to put a show together, try to make that show as fun and as interesting sounding as possible, and like really put energy into it. Because I know you think you're 25 and you're in a band, and you think because it took you 2 weeks to write a song that people should be lining up to blow you or whatever. I don't know what we can say on this, but they're not. They're not coming. For the most part, people are lining up to go to stadiums to see a blonde lady who looks like she was made in a lab. So, one, you're going to have to be okay with doing it for the love. Two, you're going to have to be okay with and super grateful when you do find your audience. There's an insane amount of bands right now. Like I just came across a band called like Rattlesnake Milk, which name alone is awesome. And
Is that an Atlanta band or a big band?
No. I think they're out in the Southwest, but it's like psychedelic desert rock. It rules. Shout out to those guys. But you just stuff comes across your desk, and you can start curating and you know, obviously like getting added to big official playlists is a big part of being in a band right now. But yeah, I don't know. I think if you can be creative in making songs and making music, we'll use some of that same creative energy to figure out a way to market that doesn't make you feel like a corporate douche, you know? And don't be afraid of it, and don't be like, oh, I'm too cool for this. Just figure out a way to do it that's
one thing I didn't think about is web series type stuff.
Right.
Like Brandon does live acoustic stuff on, you know, as, you know, to promote his, you use it to promote Rails to Rose, right? Or is it just a cross promote? Yeah. And that's a fun thing, interaction that people can view and watch live if they want. So yeah, combining that, and you know, because the social media marketing, if you're not paying to boost posts, that's free marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then combining that with handing out flyers, getting in front of people, buying a billboard if you have the means.
Sure.
And I mean, there's so many things, but people where you're playing need to know that you're playing, not your friends on Facebook that might, you know, went to high school with.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, if you can put together something that's really cool and really interesting and a repeatable swing, like back in the day, it was important for us to sort of so-called get past at certain venues where it was like we could email a venue in town and they would just be like, yes. But if you can find anywhere, especially in the suburbs, we're out in the suburbs, and it's like we've had cool acts come through Freedom Brew and Shine, and I've seen them at other breweries and other like cool venues around town. Put together the show, and don't worry so much about being like, I'm in the scene. Like make people come to you because what you're doing sounds fun and interesting. You know, don't worry so much about being a scenester like I did when I was 24. You know, put together something that you think is cool and that you can continue to tweak over time, and yeah, try to put together a little roster of other musicians and bands and people that you think are cool, and
get to know bands in other cities that you want to go to. Like if you want to play in Greenville, get to know some Greenville bands.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we just got to get back to the networking part.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, not to make it sound dramatic, but you're competing with every major marketing firm in the country. You're not really competing with Taylor Swift, right? But you are competing with every other thing that's vying for everyone's attention. So the biggest thing is for sure that you better love it. You better make stuff that you love. Don't make stuff because, like I said, you want people to line up to worship you like a skinny weird god. You know, do it.
And
do
I
it
think
out of
another big part of the problem is a lot of the venues, they want more cover bands than original. I mean, that's one of the big things that's killing original music is these venues not wanting to pay a bunch of money for. Oh, you're not playing a song that people don't want to dance to or don't know, and so it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to navigate.
Yeah.
And then I also finally want to get your opinion on bands not being so political on their band page.
Okay.
Yeah. I get people have stances, and that's fine. That's fine if you have things, but not like oversaturating your page with, fuck this person, that person.
Yeah. Like, I think that's probably good, and not just in politics. Like, for whatever reason, it feels good to vent and get frustrated on the internet and point the camera right at your face and just tell everybody off. And half of the time that never reaches the ears of who you intend it for, and it doesn't do anything to move the needle. And I hate to be the whatever. I don't mean this in a cynical way. I mean, you can focus that energy on stuff you do want to promote. So if you happen to be like, I have done the research and I support this charity who's trying to do this or trying to advocate for this or trying to whatever, and if you would like to give money to this, I believe that they are a solid entity, then feel free to promote them. But I think if you're going to come on and use your band page or your artist page or your business page to rant probably mostly regurgitated opinion that you heard from somebody else, the world needs less of that. The world needs more stuff, more light, I guess. It's easy to be another hater, and I'm preaching to the choir on this. I'm a huge hater, so. But yeah, I think being political, either way you lean, is a trap. It's an energy suck, and it's for dum-dums. So promote what you think is great and what you think is cool and what you think organizations are doing a good thing, or politicians that you think are acting not like politicians. If you want to shout somebody out, I think that's probably within the bounds of fun and good taste and whatever. But I think, yeah, if you're just going to give the same rant that, you know, whoever who has a political YouTube channel just gave, don't bother. I think it's gonna muddy the waters of what you're trying to do, and it's definitely gonna put unnecessary venom out that people can associate the stuff you're making with.
If you're gonna listen to anybody, listen to this guy who was in a band, TJ from the Howling Tongues. They made it here in the scene. I mean, they were one of the premier Atlanta rock scene bands pre-COVID, and this is a band that did it right. Were we dumb kids? Certainly. Did we make mistakes? Sure. Certainly. But we were a community back in the day, and we need to get back to that. TJ from the Howling Tongues, now a great comedian.
Thanks so much, buddy.
Great friend.
Appreciate you.
All right. And coming up next, Brandon Parker, Rails to Roads, Acoustics. And whatever song we're playing now from Rails to Roads, I'm going to let that be a surprise.
Oh, so perfect woman, gotta drop the breeze. Oh, so perfect woman, it's you and me. Oh, so perfect woman, smiling on your knees. But hold on, perfect woman, who the hell is he? Hey, you're my perfect baby, your hair looks nice. What plans do you have, baby? Where you going tonight? Let's just get naked, baby. Why you so upset? Is it 'cause of that guy you were with the other night? Oh, Merlin, what do I say as I open up the door? A beautiful one, I need that. So I got the hammer to your stone. With your thumb, holding it down. So you took the bullet and my phone. Hey there, my little lady, what's in your mind? Hey there, my little lady, ain't me I find? Did it go deep, my lady? Did it get in your eyes? 'Cause this wild-eyed little lady just won't leave mine. Oh, Mandy, what do I say as I open up the door? Get it big on your knees, playing with another boy. A beautiful one, I need that. So I got the hammer to your stone. With your thumb, holding it down. So you took the bullet and my phone. A beautiful one, I need that. So I
welcome back to the Scope Podcast, Rails to Roads. You've now heard 2 songs off. Is there an album? There's not an album yet.
It's a debut EP coming out soon called Rock This Life Away.
That's the title
That's
of the
the title.
EP.
Yep.
Dude, where were you playing? I think it was the Masquerade when you jumped, when you looked like a young Angus Young. And you jumped up and you were like going in the crowd, shirtless, playing your guitar.
Angus is definitely my biggest influence for guitar and performance-wise. But yeah, that was Purgatory stage at the Masquerade a couple weekends ago. And it was fun.
Dude, I was looking at you and I was so proud because I saw the pure love of playing live music in you. I
love it. Every second.
I don't think someone that had done 3 lines of cocaine could have been on a high as much as you were.
Yeah, and I drink water before a show. I'm not on anything when I'm dude. Because I used to drink, but it's been like a year and something since I have. But I love the sobriety factor because you get to take it all in and you remember it.
You feel every emotion.
Yeah, and
you're not numbing it.
Exactly.
That's the thing about drinking. And yes, I'm drinking a beer, but I definitely don't drink like I used to by any means whatsoever. But drinking numbs the emotions or makes you feel like you're on more of a high than you actually are.
Yeah, I mean, if you can handle it, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. But I will say I've seen so many bands that just destroy them.
Yeah. It's easy to get wrapped up in that life.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it is I've seen some bands they drink and they become zombies on stage. Like they'll just sit there and play the music. I mean, you can tell that they're just there to do that. They're not even there for the music anymore. I'm like, fuck that. That's not me at all. I love this music. I love rock and roll, and I want to feel every single bit of it and enjoy it and be able to remember it the next day.
What I say to bands all the time, one of the best things you can do is it doesn't matter if you have 100 people in the audience or 5. Mm-hmm. It's got to be the same energy for a show every time.
Yep.
Like if you're like, I'm not going to play that hard tonight. There's only 5 people in the crowd or, there's only 15 people. No, those 15 people, those 5 people paid, and they deserve the same show that you would play for 100.
Yep, and I think the big thing is I hear bands that, they don't write new material for 2 or 3 years, and I think what happens is they start playing the same songs they do over and over and over and over, and I get it. I mean, even if you're on tour playing, like if you've got to play a tour for an album or something, I get it. It can be pretty redundant having to play the same songs over and over, but it's you gotta fight that. You've got to be able to take in, no matter who's there, you got to try to take in that energy and deliver that performance for whoever that is, especially in this day and age with social media, because all it takes is people to share a video of you and you're just standing there looking like you don't want to be there. That's terrible. Oh, yeah. That's not good.
Well, you seem like the kind of person that's always writing or always coming up with ideas.
Always. It never stops. It's a blessing and a curse, but it never stops.
Sometimes you're like, oh, this is great. And sometimes you're like, will you just get out of my head?
Yeah, no, I mean, literally wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning. Like I've had riffs hit me in my sleep, and I'll wake up. And I found out when that happens, I try to keep myself in that state of mind where I'm like half asleep, half awake, and I'll reach for my phone and then hum out the riff. Because literally, because I've done it before where I wake completely up, and it's just like a dream. Some dreams you forget after 7 seconds or something. Like there's a science behind that. But literally, I've had riffs where I wake up and I'm like, okay, I know what happens if I completely wake up, so I'm just gonna stay like in this state of mind, and then grab my phone and record it. And I've recorded riffs like that, and then like 2 hours later when I'm having my coffee, be like, oh yeah, how'd that go again? And I won't remember it. So then I'll be like, play my phone. Oh yeah, that's how it went. So like literally I've had them show up in my sleep. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I bet I bet some of your greatest times for yourself are when you're just sitting alone in your house and you just got your guitar and you're just playing it, just seeing what comes.
And yes, because what I can see, I envision it. I can, from one riff, I can see, the song, then I can see the reaction. And I've just, especially with this rock band, because everybody loves rock and roll, man. Most people do. I mean,
Oh,
that are
smart
that are
people
that are
Smart
exciting
people.
and like to enjoy life. Listen to a little bit of rock and roll. So like whenever I come up with a riff that I know is, I'm like, man, I don't see how anybody could not like this.
Yeah.
It gets me excited. It gets me excited, man, and then that just motivates me to, continue writing it. And I just love that feeling of when you come up with that riff, and you just know it's like, yep, that's one. That's the one. We're gonna work with this.
You are how old again?
I'm 28.
So this is where we'll pick up.
Okay.
28. And how old were you when Crazy Mad Ride started?
Probably about 21, 22-ish.
I remember during COVID, I joined in on a live of y'all in a practice session.
Yeah, we've done many of those. The
And
lives, yeah.
I was like, this band's amazing. Did I I never played y'all on Homebrew, did I?
No, but we didn't have vocals at that point, so
Yeah.
that's very understandable. And we were just starting out.
But I remember you in Crazy Mad Ride and just how great of a guitar player you were. And you're so mature for your age in music.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and it's this new band, Rails to Roads. I'll talk about CMR for a second here. I did love that band. It was a thrash metal band, but as I've aged, I've just kind of had a change of heart. That's simply all that is. I still love thrash, but I've always loved rock and roll, and just some of how I wanted to formulate songs, and having this change of heart. It's you can't expect 3 or 4 other guys or people, whoever's in the band, to completely just fall into that and be like, yeah, that's perfectly fine, So, just after everything, we all just decided, okay, let's just do our own.
So Rails to Roads is just nitty gritty rock and roll.
It's straight to the point.
Yeah.
It's much more. I hate the word mainstream, but I'll say it's a little more mainstream. But in a good way that I'm not sacrificing what I love to do it, because I love rock and roll just as much as thrash. And we still have some thrash elements in our songs. So, but yeah, we're a 3-piece, drums, bass, and then I do guitar and vocals.
Who's the other people in the band?
Shane Thornton on drums, awesome dude, and then Josh Rutherford on bass.
Would you say that Rails to Roads is some of the most fun you've had playing music?
Man, we've only played 2 or 3 shows now, and just from, yeah, because it's like we were talking about, it's straightforward as rock and roll, and I can just tell more people when we play live are getting into it. They're getting into it because it makes them nod their head a little bit more. I love the head banging, and we have a little bit of that, but I can see in the crowd they react. It hooks them a little bit more. Actually, a lot more, to be honest. So it's fun. That's what I live for. I love playing and then seeing that, and then seeing them. Okay, we got them. I love it.
You need to go out and do some of that guerrilla marketing I was talking about. Like,
Oh, we do. We do.
You do?
Yeah.
You're out there?
Especially the drummer. He's like, man, I printed off our flyer and I put it in the liquor store, the gas station, and they didn't even take it down. I'm like, okay, cool, But yeah, we do that.
And that's the way I think it needs to be right now with the uphill battle that local bands have. Because you can do all the social media, but again, a lot of the people that people are friends with on social media aren't necessarily people that live here in Atlanta. One of the funniest things memes I saw on a local band is when your friend says they might show up on a Wednesday and then they never do, or you say, hey, you want to come to my show tonight? And they're like, oh man, if it was on Monday, I would have done it, but tonight I got plans. Like trying to get people out to your shows, like.
Yeah, you gotta build the hype, and it needs to be mainly about the music. But I will say these bands that do skits on social media, they work, but there has to be a balance there. Your music has to back it up, But the guerrilla marketing, there's no reason why anybody should not be doing that at all. That just shows laziness, really.
Yeah, that's just so smart, so smart. All right, I want to get into some acoustic stuff for you.
Okay.
What do you want to play for us real quick?
I will just kick in a loop and jam.
All right, let's do it.
As an instrumental.
Brandon Barker of Rails to Roads, everybody.
Thank you.
Going to grace us with some acoustic jams. Once again, I'm Jackson Heaton of 97.1 The River, Atlanta's Classic Hits, also host of the Scope podcast here. And Brandon is my videographer. And also in a really great band here called Rails to Roads. And that's my daughter. That's my wife. Hey, baby. Tatum. What are you doing? My son Shepard is with my mother-in-law right now, and he would just be tearing everything up if he was here. What are you doing?
Hey, Tatum.
What are you doing, baby? Ah. Brandon is a very, very good guitar player.
Well, I appreciate that. So my favorite thing about this acoustic is it's a baritone. So
Yeah.
it's going to have a nice deep sound.
Oh, I love it. You think with my deep voice I'd be a good singer, but it's not. I break glass when I sing. All right. We're good. Let's roll. Man, what was that?
I don't know. Just took it. Rolled with it. I don't know.
So did you make that up as you were going along?
The riff, no, but the soloing, yeah.
Okay,
Just
wow.
Just mess around.
Whew. Oh, my heart's racing. My heart's racing.
Awesome. That's good.
Dude, how long you been playing?
Probably about 7 or 8 years. But this is you got to think I trained myself on electric, so this is completely new to me. This acoustic style playing. Yeah, I'm gonna start getting lessons on like flat picking and trying to get into bluegrass a little bit. So I'm trying to like totally move to the next big thing for me, you know. But I love rock, and I'm like, I've got this down. Let's try something different, you know.
Yeah.
But I just love music, man.
Dude, you are the epitome of what the Atlanta rock scene needs to be.
I appreciate that. I'm
was
trying.
telling that to Aisha the other night. I'm like, Brandon is the representation of what a musician that is trying to make it, working hard, putting on great shows for people. You are what the Atlanta rock scene is about.
I appreciate that. The big thing is just consistency.
No.
You got to just make sure, you know, content, everything. You just got to be strong in everything. The guerrilla marketing, the social media marketing, the music, especially the music. You got to stay focused on that. And, you know, just keeping your head level. A level head is the big thing.
This has been episode 111 of the Scoped Podcast. Once again, I am Jackson Heaton, Atlanta's rock ambassador. We've had a little solo action from me. We had TJ, formerly of the Howling Tongues, on. We had Brandon Barker from Rails to Roads, just talking a bunch of Atlanta rock scene stuff. What a great episode. What a great day. And this episode 111 officially done. We're done.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Let's hear it for Jackson Heaton. Thank y'all.